So I received today a letter from my very first nursing job. Yeah, where I often say my hell began. Being, sarcastic somewhat. But anybody that has seen some of my other videos knows what happened at the first nursing job. But yeah, so apparently they said that they experienced a data security incident that may have impacted my personal information. On July 15th, 2024, we discovered suspicious activity on our systems. As soon as we identified the suspicious activity, we implemented our incident response protocols and began an internal investigation. External cybersecurity specialists were hired to help us determine what had occurred and whether any information was at risk. The investigation determined that some documents may have been impacted by the incident. We worked with a vendor to review the documents on May 7th, 2025, and we learned your information was affected. My date of birth, my social security, all my health and data information. So that's what AI does for us. Look, it's just interesting. That was the place where I was at, my first nursing job, and a lot of trauma happened at that job. Only because they targeted me because of nursing union was voted in. But how they targeted me was the most horrendous way. And I don't want to get into the story because I've told it a million times already. But I had a family member, I had told this about today, and they said, maybe you need to hang it up with nursing. Maybe I do. There has always seemed to be, and I can't explain it. If you believe in God, you should maybe understand what I'm saying. There just has always seemed like there's forces that are there. I can't explain it. That have not wanted me in nursing. And look, I'm not, even though the last 5 years I've done videos and spoken up, it's because I was finally I pushed. I prayed, and I've prayed so much to God over the years, especially after entering nursing. But even before that, because, God's the reason that, God got me on my feet and everything with, getting sober 30 years ago. And so I've always depended on God, but especially after everything happened at my first nursing job. But even when I was in school in nursing, there just seemed to be so many things that were happening. And it's like, is something trying to tell me not to do this? And it's like, that's what I wanted to do, though. And so I, thought in school that, well, once I'm out of school, then everything will be fine. But then it really hasn't been. And I've sat back and thought, okay, well, what can I do differently? And believe me, even though I've spoken up for 5 years, that's not how I've behaved at any jobs. It isn't. I pretty much stay to myself for the most part. I'll be honest about things, but, you learn that in the system, even though you know things that could make things better, you realize after you've been working in it long enough that the people that run it, the people that control it, don't want it. You realize that how could they make things worse over time? And you realize they don't want to make things better. And so you get to this place, and this is what I did long before I started speaking up, was that I just want a calm life. I want a drama-free life. I just want to earn a living and be left alone and do what I can in nursing to help people and be the nurse that I, was trained to be. And so you learn that you have to pick your battles. If you're going to battle anything, you have to pick your battles because you can't take on every battle. So I've done everything I can to really fly under the radar, to be honest, just because I've just wanted the drama-free, let me earn a living, I'm not looking to be some, big, I'm not any savior. I'm not any saint. I'm just looking to live a normal, peaceful life. And then, everything. And I was kind of on that track for a little bit, but it never seems to last. And when Trump came into office, it was like, and Northwestern, and how political they had become. And, I could let that go, but then they put in the blacklisted cameras, and it's like, what is happening? Everything that happened during COVID was nuts. But, so, I mean, I guess what I want to say is I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to push back because I'm trying to win. In this world, because of who runs it, and God allows the wicked one to run it. He puts limits on it, but he does. And most people would say, I'm doing something wrong. You know how many times I've sat back and I'm like, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I am the problem here. I've prayed about that so many times. So it's not that I don't look at myself or I'm trying to claim victimhood here. It's that sometimes I can't explain it. There's things that just we aren't aware of, that the powers and principalities, I would say. And I think that there are those powers and principalities that absolutely don't want me in nursing, and haven't for a long time. And whether I should be in it or not, it's what I know. It's what I want to do. I don't expect to be somebody that can fix it. Because of who controls it. But I have gotten to a place, because I do pray to God every day, and I talk to God and lean on God for so much, that, I can just do what I can in my area to try to help each individual, for those that I can, as a nurse, I mean. And that's all I've looked to do. And then for whatever reason, I've said it was like something pushed me to start speaking up. And so I have. And since then, of course, I knew I would be targeted, because I was targeted even before I was speaking up. So I don't know what the answer is. Maybe it is time to hang it up with nursing. I feel like it's not, but I also don't think that this is a war that I'm meant to win. And that's not trying to say because I can't. It's the system. And the only one that will finally get the system under control is God. I just tried to do my part to bring awareness to people. And one of the biggest things is that AI, I believe, has been in place for a lot longer than we've been told. Those powers and principalities of AI. Because there's just been things that have happened, and it's like, how do they know this about me? How do they know? So, I mean, long before AI's been introduced to us in a public way, because most people think AI's only been really around since we were told about it. No, I think it's been around for a lot longer. Just because you believe in God and you trust in God and you put full faith in him and you ask to do his will every day doesn't always mean that it's going to go the way you want it. I've known that forever, though. And sometimes the more you ask to do God's will, he knows. Look at Job. He sometimes uses suffering to help strengthen us and bring us closer to him. And to use it, for his own purposes. in the end, it's only his will that matters.